Hello, Martin Petts here from F24 and welcome to our new video talking about 3 COVID-19 threats that maybe you have not thought about. So the first one is cyber attacks and cyber criminals really taking advantage of our COVID-19 obsession and fear. Since mid-February, attacks really have risen. They've used highly targeted spear phishing attacks where they've used very official looking, perhaps government websites, health websites, that get you to download something or even apply for a fiscal package or whatever it might be in exchange for some credentials. Or potentially they may try and get you to download a file or something like that which contains malware or ransomware which can then attack your organization network. They can also be targeting Office 365 credentials, and this can target things like Microsoft Teams, for example, and exploit your different communications that are going on amongst different staff members, and also can do a classical kind of CEO, COO simulated message to a finance department asking them to pay a bill when it in fact transfers funds into a cyber criminal's account. It's also taking advantage of the remote working that we're all doing right now, and also the bad communications between different departments, between different staff members because of that remote working. And this is just going to continue during the new normal. We're all getting used to new ways of working, and cyber criminals can exploit new tools that you're using, new ways of working that perhaps we're not quite so familiar with. So the resolution of all this really is awareness or education, as well as good management and quick communication. So we can raise awareness amongst our staff members of what an attack like this may look like. We can share legitimate websites where staff should go to get the information they're seeking. We can even have staff hotlines, telephone hotlines, where staff working from home can call in and get an update and some instructions on the latest situation. We can also potentially have some break glass functionality where we give the power to staff members to raise the alert if they spot something that's suspect. Suspect emails can be spotted in all the normal ways: bad grammar, bad punctuation, spelling mistakes, looking and asking for credentials, or even a false sense of urgency around the instruction that the email is asking for. We should also plan for loss of our communication systems. Cyber attacks could be targeting our whole network to bring it down, so we should plan for having potentially an alternate way of communicating in this crisis situation. So the second COVID-19 threat you may not have thought about is the difficulty in managing crisis or incident situations during COVID-19 confusion. So you need to be able to adapt your crisis incident management processes for remote working. You don't want staff feeling compelled to come into the office and thereby increasing the risk of spreading the virus. Make sure that you have the right processes and tools so that staff can feel that they can do their jobs, fulfill their roles from home. Also, can they manage an incident remotely? Could you initiate an instant telephone conference, for example, in a crisis situation? Can relevant teams access instant logs, processes, or even manage and assign tasks and carry out tasks from a remote location? Can there be a virtual war room or crisis management room that you can have because everyone's working from home? And have a think about how you can collaborate and collate information about incidents remotely as well. Think about how you might react to a national ransomware incident, for example, and maybe even think about how you can communicate and collaborate between different companies and different organizations in the country. So the resolution of all this is to have an online software as a service crisis and incident management and communication system. It works redundantly and in parallel with your own IT system. So if the crisis is that your IT system has been lost, you can still communicate, manage remotely. Everyone that needs to can log into the system, and everything can be run and managed remotely. So the third threat that you may not have thought about with COVID-19 is new tool reliance, resilience, and responsibility. So have you installed new tools within your organizations to allow staff to work from home, for example? So have a think about the reliance that your organization now has on those tools to allow people to work from home. What is the importance of that new tool? What would happen if that tool was out of action for an hour, for a day, or even for longer? What is the resilience of that tool? Do you have a backup tool that you can use if the supplier of the primary tool has availability problems, has capacity problems, or even potentially has business problems and cannot fulfill or supply those tools that you're using, and now have and are placing a lot more importance on because of the new normal? Who is responsible for those new tools within your organization? Is it just one or two people? You've got to remember that there can be a potentially higher absenteeism right now. So if you've got only one or two experts trained up on those new tools, then that is potentially a single point of failure. Make sure you've got deputies. Use this lull before the next wave to get those deputies trained, and make sure that you've got backup in terms of experts for those new tools should you have problems. So that's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you can be notified when the next videos come out. Thank you very much.